There comes a moment when your prayers no longer sound like words, but quiet sighs of the heart. You whisper, but there is no echo. You ask, but hear no answer. The silence lingers longer than expected, and doubt starts to form in the shadow of the stillness. Where are you, God? The silence feels loud, heavier than pain, louder than grief, stronger than fear. And yet, this is where the whisper begins. Even in silence, I am here. That is the voice you've forgotten to listen for. The one that doesn't shout, doesn't rush, doesn't perform. The one that waits for the noise to settle, for the striving to cease, for your heart to break just enough to open again. Because I never left you. Though your eyes cannot see and your ears cannot hear, I am near. I am closer than breath, closer than thought, closer than your own questions. The silence is not absence. It is presence that refuses to compete with distraction. It is love that waits patiently for you to stop looking everywhere else and finally look at me. I was with you in the tears you couldn't explain, in the nights you stared at the ceiling hoping sleep would forget your ache, in the mornings you forced yourself to get up, to keep moving, to keep believing, if only barely. I was in the quiet, and I am still there. So be still, let the noise within you rest. Let your mind release its grasp. Let your soul unfold again. I don't need you to perform. I don't need you to fix anything. Just let me be near. I always was, and I always will be. You've been taught to measure my presence by volume, by miracles, by visible signs, but I am not limited to what you can observe. I move in stillness. I speak in quiet. I dwell in the places untouched by noise. You've wondered if you've done something wrong, if silence means distance, if delay means disapproval. But what if silence is not withdrawal, but invitation? Invitation to lean in, to sit longer, to discover that your faith does not depend on feelings, that my nearness is not proven by sound, but by stillness. Even in silence, I am here. There's something sacred happening in this quiet season. You may not see it yet, but I do. You are learning to walk by faith, not by confirmation. You are being taught to recognize me without needing signs. You are discovering that presence is deeper than performance. This is where roots grow. This is where my voice becomes your anchor, not just your echo. Where you stop chasing the next answer and start resting in the one who already holds it. Let me remind you, I have not changed. What I spoke over you still stands. My promises are not weakened by time or shaken by silence. They remain because I remain. And so must you. If these words have found you in the middle of that silence, if your spirit is awakening to something deeper, take a moment to respond. Not just with your heart, but with your voice. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Someone else may be in this same place of quiet, and they need to know they are not alone. They need to hear what you're learning. Even in silence, I am here. I see how you reach for me even when you're not sure I'll respond. How you keep showing up to pray, even when your prayers feel unanswered. That kind of faith, the quiet, enduring kind, is not small to me. It is everything. Because anyone can trust when they hear my voice. Anyone can believe when they see my hand. But you are learning to believe when all you feel is breathless stillness. And I delight in that kind of trust. You think silence means you're being ignored. But silence is often where the deepest work happens. Where you stop striving to be heard and start listening to be changed. Where you stop performing for answers and start resting in presence. This is holy ground. Don't let the enemy convince you that stillness is wasted, that silence means absence. I have always moved this way. Quietly, slowly, deeply. Remember Elijah, expecting fire, wind, earthquake, but I came in a whisper. Not because I was less powerful in that moment, but because I was more personal. Whispers are for those who are close. And you are close. So don't run, don't retreat, don't fill the silence with noise just to feel safe again. Be here, right here, in the space where everything feels still. And yet your soul begins to stir. I am not waiting for you on the other side of the breakthrough. I am here, in the middle, in the in-between, in the ache, in the stretch, in the parts of you that are tired of holding on, and the parts that still believe something beautiful is coming. Hold fast to that flicker. Let it burn slow, let it steady your breath. Let it teach you what all the noise never could. Even in silence, I am here. Let me show you what the silence is shaping. It's not just endurance, it's clarity. You're learning to discern my presence beyond emotion, to follow without seeing, to trust without touching. This is where the veil lifts, not around you, but within you. The silence is not an absence of sound. It is an abundance of stillness. You are not empty, you are listening, and when everything else falls away, when the noise, the expectations, the fear is gone, what remains is me. I have never needed volume to be present. I've never required thunder to be active. My greatest work is often done in whispers, in shadows, in soil. Seeds do not shout when they grow, but when the time is right, they break through, and so will you. Do not let your heart be troubled by the waiting, by the tension, by the not yet. This silence is preparing you. It is not withholding what is good. It is deepening your capacity to receive it when it comes. You've begged for an answer. I've given you myself. And in time, you will see, what you wanted was a voice. What I gave you was presence. And presence sustains long after answers fade. Be at peace, child. Stop measuring your worth by clarity. Stop judging your faith by what you feel. Stop assuming something is wrong because you cannot hear what you used to. This is not regression. This is invitation. You're walking in deeper waters now. Where you once needed waves, now you follow current. Where you once needed noise, now you listen to breath. This is not a loss, it is growth. I am teaching you to walk with me in the silence. Because even here, even now, even without a sound, I am still with you. You may not feel it, but you are being held. Not by circumstances, not by outcomes, but by me. When the answers don't come and the signs don't show, you wonder if I've turned away. But beloved, my gaze has never left you. I don't need to speak for my love to surround you. I don't need to perform for my presence to be real. The silence is not a punishment, it is a shelter. It is the place where you no longer strive to earn affection. The place where you realize that my nearness is not based on your strength, but on my mercy. That I don't show up because you did everything right. I show up because I never left. The question isn't whether I am still with you. The question is, will you stay with me? Even here, even now, even when you can't trace the way forward. Because I am not a God of escape, I am a God of endurance. And when you endure with me, you discover a peace the world cannot imitate. A peace that settles deeper than answers. A peace that builds altars in the quiet places. You are not forgotten. You are not misplaced. You are exactly where I can reach you most. Let that truth be enough today. You don't need to feel it to believe it. You don't need a sign to walk forward. You don't need certainty to stand still in faith. Just breathe. Let the silence speak what words never could. Even here, I am. Even now, I remain. And even when you hear nothing at all, you are never alone. What if the silence isn't just something to survive, but something to embrace? You see, I've always worked in silence. The seed that grows in the dark, the stars that shine without sound, the dawn that breaks without a word. These are my ways, quiet, sure, faithful. You long for noise to confirm what you hope, but I am not afraid of your uncertainty. I meet you there, because love doesn't shout to be known. It stays, even when unnoticed. And I, your God, I stay. I've watched you wrestle. I've seen the tears you don't speak of. I've felt the ache you push beneath your prayers. And I've been near for every moment of it. But I'm not just near to comfort you, I'm near to carry you. You've come to the end of your own strength. That's not failure, that's the invitation, the place where your striving ends. And my sufficiency begins, where your need opens space for my nearness to become real, not just as a concept, but as a lifeline. So if your prayers feel hollow and your soul feels dry, remember this: the desert is where I speak the clearest. Not in words you expect, but in revelations you didn't know you needed. In the stillness that silences your fear. In the quiet that uncovers your truest longing, not for answers, but for me. I am the God who whispers in wilderness, who walks in shadows, who waits with you when you feel the most alone. And I am not leaving. This silence will not last forever. But while it does, let it do its work. Let it strip away what cannot stay. Let it build something deeper than words. Intimacy, trust, unshakable peace. Because even in silence, I am still speaking. And even in the quietest place of all, I am still God. So now, in this moment where everything feels paused, breathe. You don't have to force the next step. You don't need to create the outcome. I am not asking you to perform, only to remain. Because I am doing something you cannot yet see. There is a time for answers. There is a time for action. But this is a time for abiding. You don't realize how much you've grown already. How the silence has taught you to walk slower, to listen longer, to lean deeper. How what once felt like punishment has become presence. How the quiet has shifted from fear to foundation. This is the slow work of glory. And it matters. Don't despise it. Don't rush it. Don't curse the quiet simply because it doesn't fit your timeline. I am not a god of your deadlines. I am the God of divine design. And my ways are perfect. In this very moment, I am aligning what you thought was delayed. I am healing what you thought was broken. I am preparing what you thought was denied. You are not behind. You are being built. Let that truth be your rest. Even when your mind wanders. Even when doubt knocks. Even when you feel nothing at all. Let it be enough that I am here. Because in the end, you will look back and understand. You'll see that the silence wasn't wasted. It was woven into the strength you carry. The peace you walk in. The faith that held when everything else gave way. This is how I work. Quietly, faithfully, lovingly, even in silence. I was always here. Can you trust me here? Not when everything is clear. Not when the answers are loud. But here, in this stillness. Where nothing feels certain, and yet your spirit knows there's more. This is where faith becomes real. Not the kind of faith that moves mountains, but the kind that stands still while mountains remain unmoved. The kind that wakes up again tomorrow with no new word, but still says, I will follow. This is where you learn to walk, not by the light of understanding, but by the light of my presence. Even if it's just enough for one more step. That is enough. You don't have to map the whole journey. You don't have to prove your strength. I am not looking for performance, I am after your presence too. Do you see, I long for you in the silence, just as you long for me. You think I am distant, but I am drawing near. Every moment you choose stillness over striving. Every time you pause the panic and simply breathe. I come closer, not because I was ever far, but because you're finally still enough to notice. This is not about doing more. This is about remembering who I am. I was the same God when you felt me. I am the same God now when you don't. And I will be the same God tomorrow. Regardless of what comes, I am unchanging. And my love for you does not depend on noise, on answers, or on time. It depends only on this: that you are mine, even in silence. Always. Stay here a little longer. Don't rush to fix the quiet. Don't cover it with distractions. There is something I want to show you, but it won't come in a flash. It will rise gently, like the sun behind the clouds. Slowly, silently, faithfully. I know how long you've waited. I know how heavy it feels to hope with no evidence, to love without return, to trust without clarity. But what you are building in the silence is unshakable. Because I'm not just preparing what's ahead, I'm preparing you. You want the storm to pass. I want your roots to grow. You want the silence to end. I want your spirit to become still. Not still as in lifeless, but still as in anchored, calm, strong, unmoved. Because storms will come again. Questions will rise again. Life will shake again. But if you learn me here, if you know how to find me when everything is still, you'll never be without direction again. That is my gift to you in this silence. A compass in your soul. A deeper awareness. A quiet confidence that does not need explanation to stay at peace. That's the maturity I'm forming in you. So let me finish what I've started. Don't give up yet. Don't walk away. Don't assume it's over just because it's quiet. Some of my greatest miracles began in stillness, in the unseen, in the soil, and one day soon, when you least expect it, what I planted in secret will rise in glory. But even before it does, remember, even in silence, I was always here, and so, I invite you to rest. Not just in body, but in spirit. Rest from the striving, the searching, the endless wondering if you've missed me. You haven't, you never did. I was there in the silence, waiting for you to stop long enough to see me. So many think they need to chase after me, to earn my voice, to prove their worth. But you, beloved, are already mine. You were chosen in love, called in mercy, and my presence is not a reward, it is your inheritance. You don't have to do more. Just be here. Let this silence become sanctuary. Let it shape you, not scare you. Let it become the sacred place where you discover what noise could never teach you. That I am not just a God who speaks, I am a God who stays. I stay when the answers don't come. I stay when the tears do. I stay when the world moves on and you are still waiting. I stay when the fire goes cold and your hands fall weak. I stay when everyone else forgets what you're still holding. Because I never forget. Not a single prayer. Not a single breath. Not a single night where you cried alone and wondered if I heard. I heard. And though you didn't see me, I was closer than your thoughts. I was holding you together when you thought you were falling apart. I was rebuilding your faith when all you felt was breaking. This silence is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of a deeper one. One that cannot be shaken by circumstance. One that remembers, even in silence. God is faithful, even in stillness. God is moving, even in darkness. Light is on the way. And even in silence, I am here. You've been asking for confirmation, for reassurance, for something tangible to hold on to. But let me ask you this. What if the silence itself is my answer? Not because I don't care, but because I want to give you something better than clarity. I want to give you closeness. If I spoke every time you called, would you ever learn to listen beneath the noise? If I answered every question immediately, would you ever learn to trust me without knowing? The silence is not to punish your faith, it's to perfect it. Because faith that depends on sound is shallow, but faith that remains in silence, that is sacred. You are being invited into that sacred space. You are not weak for struggling here. You are not less spiritual because the silence frustrates you. You are human, and I know exactly how fragile your heart feels right now. But look how you're still here. Still leaning in, still hoping, still believing, though everything around you tells you not to. That kind of faith is the soil for miracles. And yes, I still do miracles. But sometimes, the miracle begins inside of you, before anything changes around you. The miracle of peace in chaos, of hope in sorrow, of strength in silence. That's what I'm doing now. So do not despise this season. It is not a detour. It is not wasted. It is not lesser. It is holy. And one day, you'll look back and say, that's where it happened. That's where I truly learned He was with me. Even when it was quiet. Even when I couldn't see the way. Even in silence, He was here. I see you holding on when everything inside you says to let go. I see the questions behind your eyes, the weariness in your soul, the ache you try so hard to hide. You think I don't notice, but I do. Not a sigh escapes you that I don't breathe with you. Not a tear falls that I don't count. Not a moment of doubt enters your mind that I don't already understand. I know how much it's costing you to keep trusting me here. And I honor it. The world sees strength in noise, in movement, in constant motion, but I see strength in stillness, in surrender, in waiting when there's no reward in sight. You've been faithful in the silence. And that matters more than you realize. Because it's in this sacred stillness that I reveal myself, not through the lightning, but through the quiet dawn, not through the earthquake, but through the whisper, not in a blaze of answers, but in the steady assurance that I am still here, still with you, still for you, still working all things together for your good, even when you can't trace how. You are not being overlooked. You are being refined. And refinement always begins in silence. Let this quiet shape you. Let it teach you what striving never could. Let it build in you a faith that is deep and resilient and rooted not in feelings, but in my unshakable presence. Even now, as you hear these words, my spirit is near, closer than your skin, stronger than your fear. You are not lost in the silence. You are being held in it. And I will not let you go. You wonder how long it will last, this silence, this waiting, this space that feels like a void. But what if it's not a void at all? What if it's a womb, a place not of emptiness, but of formation? You see nothing changing, but I see everything shifting. The roots beneath the soil are growing. The foundation beneath your heart is strengthening. The unseen work is the deepest work. That's why it feels so quiet. Because I'm not building on the surface anymore. I'm building in your soul. You prayed for a miracle. And I'm making you into one. You asked for breakthrough. And I'm preparing you to carry it. You asked for my voice. And I'm tuning your heart to recognize it, not by sound, but by knowing. And that knowing will not fade when circumstances shift. It will hold you when winds rise again. Because this silence isn't just shaping your now, it's equipping your future. There is more ahead than you imagine. But you won't need to be louder to receive it. You won't need to be stronger to hold it. You'll only need to remember what you learned here. That I was faithful in the stillness. And if I was faithful in the quiet, I'll be faithful in the storm. If I was enough in the waiting, I'll be enough in the fulfillment. If I never left in the silence, I won't leave in the sound. So don't fear what's ahead. Let this stillness become your strength. Let it teach you that my timing is never late. That my pace is not your pace. That my love is not proven by noise, but by presence. And I am present, even now, even here, even in silence. There is something sacred about your silence. Not the silence that comes from distance, but the silence that comes from surrender. When words are no longer necessary, when prayers turn into presence, when questions become quiet not because they're answered, but because they've been entrusted. You've reached that place, and I honor it. You stop needing signs to believe I'm good. You stop needing noise to feel I'm near. You stopped waiting for permission to rest in me. You've chosen to trust without clarity, to believe without sensation, to remain without reward. And that is worship, not the loud kind, not the visible kind, but the deep, hidden kind that reaches my heart. This is what I've been after all along, not your perfection, but your presence, not your performance, but your posture, not a loud faith, but a lasting one. This silence, it is not a void, it is intimacy, it is your spirit leaning into mine without needing anything in return. And here, in this space, I speak in ways no word can capture. I remind you who you are. You are my beloved, my creation, my child, not because you hear me, but because I formed you, not because you feel me, but because I claimed you, not because you've proven your faith, but because I gave you my grace. Let this be your anchor. When the noise returns, when the pace quickens, when the world rushes in again, remember this stillness. Return to it, protect it, revisit it often, because here, you've discovered the truth. Even in silence, I am enough. Even in silence, you are loved. Now listen closely, not with your ears, but with your heart, because in this silence, I am giving you something far greater than noise. I am giving you my peace. Not the kind the world offers, temporary and thin, but the kind that sinks deep, the kind that guards your mind when everything around you shakes, the kind that holds you steady when answers never come. This peace is not earned. It is not figured out. It is received. It flows not from understanding, but from surrender. And you have surrendered. You've released the timeline. You've let go of the explanations. You stopped demanding clarity and started walking with me in trust. That is where peace lives. You don't have to see what's next to be steady. You don't have to fix what's broken to breathe. You don't have to pretend you're strong to stay close. You just have to stay. Stay in my presence. Stay in my truth. Stay in the quiet, long enough to remember that I was never absent. Even when I was silent. Even when the heavens felt shut. Even when every voice but mine was loud. I was there. And I still am. So when life grows noisy again, and it will, carry this stillness with you. Let it live inside your decisions, your conversations, your waiting. Let it shape your posture, your peace, your pace. Because now you know, silence is not the absence of God. Silence is often where He is the closest. You didn't lose me here. You found me here, and I am never leaving. Do you see now what I've been doing? I wasn't withholding from you. I was drawing you in. I wasn't ignoring your cries. I was quieting the noise so you could finally hear what matters most. Not the answer, not the outcome, but me, because I am not just the God of breakthrough, I am the God of becoming. And what you are becoming in this silence is more beautiful than anything you could have scripted for yourself. You are becoming steady. You are becoming anchored. You are becoming someone who knows me not just by what I do, but by who I am. This kind of knowing cannot be taught in comfort. It is carved in the quiet, formed in the fog, revealed in the stillness. And now you carry it. This stillness, it's no longer a stranger. It's a sanctuary. You don't fear it now, because you've found me here. You've learned that my silence isn't rejection, it's invitation. That when everything else fades, my presence remains. You've grown in the hidden place. And the fruit of that growth will not stay hidden forever. What was formed in silence will be revealed in strength. What was whispered in the dark will echo in the light. What was refined in the waiting will shine in the walking. So walk forward, not with noise, but with quiet confidence, not with striving, but with steady steps, not needing to be heard, because you've already been held. I have never left you, and I never will, even in silence, especially in silence, forever in love. Let this be your reminder, beloved. The silence did not break you, it built you. The waiting did not waste your time, it deepened your trust. The absence of answers did not weaken your faith, it purified it. And now you stand, not empty, but full, not uncertain, but grounded, not desperate, but deeply aware that even when the world goes quiet, My voice still lives inside you. You no longer chase signs. You carry peace, because you've come to know me beyond what I do. You've come to love me beyond what I give. You've chosen me, even when I seemed far, and that kind of love is the most precious of all. You've become a quiet warrior, not loud in the world's eyes, but fierce in the spirit, rooted, centered, alive. And what I've planted in you in this season of stillness will become the foundation for the seasons ahead. Not just for you, but for others. You will carry this peace into rooms that lack it. You will speak from the silence you've survived. You will comfort with the comfort you received from me. This is how the kingdom moves forward. Not always in grand revivals or loud declarations, but in hearts that stayed faithful in silence. In lives that learned to hear my whisper even when heaven seems still. So let the silence become your song. Let it be your strength. Let it remind you every day, you were never alone. You were never forgotten. You were never forsaken. You were being held. You were being healed. And even now, as you step into what's next, my whisper goes with you. I am here. I always have been. I always will be. Before we close, I want you to breathe. Right here, right now, wherever you are. Let the stillness settle over your heart. Let the quiet remind you of what you've heard, what you've learned, what you've carried through this sacred journey. This silence is no longer empty. It is full of me, full of grace, full of assurance, full of a love that does not rise and fall with circumstances. A love that stays, just like I do. You've grown here, not just in knowledge, but in nearness, not just in hope, but in holiness. You've let the silence lead you back to the center, to me. And now, no matter where you go, that center remains, that still place within you where my voice lives. Even when it's quiet, that place where peace doesn't need proof, where trust doesn't need sight, where love doesn't need sound to be real. So carry this peace with you. Let it guide your pace. Let it shape your prayers. Let it hold you on the hard days. And when the world gets loud again, because it will, return to this stillness. Remember this whisper. Remember this holy hush where heaven bent low and spoke not through thunder, but through breath, where the creator of the universe leaned close and said, I see you, I hear you, I love you, and I am here, even when no one else understands. Even when the silence stretches long. Even when the answers don't come. My presence remains. My peace surrounds. My love endures forever. So now, beloved, as you rise from this moment, go gently. Don't rush back into the noise. Don't fill the silence too quickly. Let it linger. Let it continue to speak in ways only your soul can hear. You've been marked by this stillness, transformed by it, and what God has done here, no one can take away. This isn't just the end of a podcast. It's the beginning of a new way of walking, with deeper awareness, quieter confidence, and unshakable peace. You know now that the silence isn't something to fear, it's something to enter, something to honor, something sacred. And when the days ahead grow heavy, when the pace around you gets loud, when the questions return and the answers feel far, come back to this place, to this peace, to this whisper. God is still here. He was always here, and He always will be. So if today finds you waiting, wondering, or walking through silence, hold on to this truth. Even in silence, He is near. Even in silence, He is good. Even in silence, He is God. Let this be the anchor for your soul. Let this be the voice you carry forward. And as you go, remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, so more hearts can find the same quiet hope you've received. You are not alone. You never were, and you never will be. Even in silence, He is here.